The family was celebrating a birthday on the ocean the day before, but when they opened their eyes, they were shocked to find that the ocean beneath them had inexplicably disappeared, turning into a barren land. The sun somehow had caught 2 crabs. Matt was stunned because these crabs usually live 500 meters deep in the ocean, so how could they be crawling on land now? The man quickly took out a compass to determine their position, but to his surprise, the needle had mysteriously reversed direction, with the south needle now pointing north. The northern pointer was pointing south. The last time this happened was during the mass extinction event 700,000 years ago, so Matt immediately sent out a distress signal via radio. Fortunately, a man's voice soon came through. "Captain, over someone 6500 is right." Although the person was not a rescue worker, Matt was still very relieved and quickly asked if they knew what had happened. The man explained that he was a deep-sea explorer, working underwater, and that yesterday, the Earth experienced a sudden magnetic pole reversal, causing the sea and land to swap geographical positions. Furthermore, very signs indicated that within a week, the Earth would undergo another magnetic pole reversal, and the sea would flood back into the desolate area where they were located. "Will it be very violent? Try to climb as high as you can. Possible." Matt's face immediately turned grim, and he quietly asked how many people the submarine could still accommodate, only to be told that there were only 2 spots left. Matt didn't hesitate for even a moment, and earnestly pleaded for him to take his 2 children. As soon as he uttered these words, there was an abrupt silence on the radio. After the couple's desperate and heartfelt pleas, the man eventually revealed his coordinates. Matt exhaled a deep sigh of relief and swiftly organized his essential supplies to embark on his journey. At that moment, he observed a man hobbling towards him from afar, evidently injured, seemingly another survivor blessed by fortune. Matt promptly grabbed a water bottle to extend assistance. The man, appreciative of Matt's generous gesture, gradually lowered his weapon and drank from the bottle with eagerness. Matt compassionately inquired if he required medical attention, but in the following instant, the man unexpectedly became enraged and struck into the ground. Then he delivered another blow, picked up a weapon, and mercilessly stabbed it into Matt's body. Unexpectedly, the man was so ruthless that upon seeing Matt had a boat, he didn't hesitate to seize the supplies. Not far away, Matt's wife was so frightened that she ran off, telling the children that danger was approaching, with a fierce bandit coming after them. The girl quickly brought her mother back to the cabin and locked the doors and windows. To protect the children, Amy had the siblings hide in a storage cabinet and handed a signal flare gun to her daughter. Seeing the bandit about to break in, Annie quickly grabbed a knife and went into the bathroom. After the intruder burst into the cabin, he didn't rush to find anyone. Instead, he picked up a leftover can of food and gulped down several mouthfuls. Once he was full, he began to search the cabin. Meanwhile, Amy had already sneaked out through a hole to the outside of the cabin. Just as she was about to circle back, the intruder's vicious dog suddenly appeared, barking furiously at her and then lunging directly. Fortunately, Amy remained calm, grabbed a knife, and stabbed the dog to death. The intruder heard the commotion and came running. But she only saw the body of her beloved dog. Taking advantage of the man's distracted attention, Amy quickly returned to the cabin through the broken window. She carefully made her way back to the room to rescue the children, but the intruder was already behind her. Amy tried to pick up the knife to fight back, but her wrist was immediately pinned down by the man. He threw her onto the sofa and slapped her hard, leaving Amy with no strength to resist. Soon, the man had her in a chokehold. At this critical moment, the daughter finally made up her mind to open the storage cabinet. Shun let him. Although they successfully helped the mother out of danger, the ship was set ablaze. Amy hurriedly took some important supplies and quickly left the cabin with the children. Seeing Matt's body not far away, the 3 of them could no longer suppress their grief and wept bitterly while holding the body. At that moment, the murderer emerged from the blazing fire. Ignoring their immediate sorrow, Amy quickly took the 2 children and fled. Luckily, the killer struggled to walk, giving the group a brief rest while escaping. At this moment, the son spotted a dead shark by the roadside and curiously approached it. However, when Amy glanced back, she saw the killer had caught up nearby. She quickly grabbed her son, who was absorbed in playing, and fled. With such a threat behind them, the family couldn't afford to relax. Soon, the boy felt unwell and stopped. On closer look, Amy realized her son showed signs of dehydration. He took out the water bottle to hydrate his son, only to find much of it had mysteriously vanished. Seeing this, the daughter confessed her mistake, as she hadn't tightened the cap properly last time. Hearing this, Amy was overwhelmed and blamed her daughter, which unexpectedly caused her daughter to lose her composure too, leading to a big argument. Even in the life-and-death situation, the family found time to argue, suggesting the pressure from the Sean wasn't intense enough. After a while, the mother and daughter calmed down, gathered their emotions, and continued their escape. As it got dark, Amy found an abandoned airplane in the wilderness and decided to rest inside for the night. Claiming to set out to get a turn, In the middle of the night, the daughter was awakened by the urge to urinate, so she carefully opened the cabin door and went outside the plane to relieve herself. She instinctively looked around, afraid of being discovered. Despite her caution, she failed to notice a shadow slowly approaching from behind. At the critical moment, Amy appeared just in time, using a small knife to stab the man's body. As he was about to stab back, he was struck with another powerful blow. Then, Amy, as if in a frenzy, repeatedly plunged a dagger into the man's chest, seemingly venting the mental stress she had endured these days until the daughter hugged her from behind, and Amy gradually clung down. The heavy weight in Netherill's thresh was finally eased, as they no longer had to worry about sudden attacks. Now they just needed to find the submarine before the magnetic pole reversal to survive. But when the three of them walked out of the plane at dawn, they discovered that the body had turned into a skeleton. Amy felt a chill run down her spine, certain that a mysterious creature had appeared last night and devoured the body. With this thought, Amy dared not stay in place any longer, and hurriedly left with the children. Along the way, they found a large number of abandoned seats. They quickly built a simple forge in the wilderness. The three of them leaned on each other and fell into a deep sleep, but it wasn't long before Amy heard a strange noise. She stepped out of the fort to check the situation and discovered a large shadow approaching them from a distance. Terrified, Amy scrambled to wake the children, and they began a chase through the wilderness with a group of unknown creatures. Soon they discovered a camp not far away where there were a few other survivors. The woman wanted to step forward and ask about the situation, but then her companion's face changed because they saw the creatures behind them. Amy begged for help, but they were refused and the container door stayed shut. With no choice, the three climbed onto the container, hoping they wouldn't be attacked. Only then did they see the creatures were shrimp soldiers and crab generals. Amy didn't make it onto the container in time and got bitten on the calf. The survivors inside weren't much better off, as the crab army quickly rushed in through a dog hole. Despite having weapons in their hands, they were quickly overwhelmed by the sheer number of crabs. They could hear the heart-wrenching screams from below. The three of them trembled, not daring to move, fearing they might attract the attention of the crab army. Fortunately, they narrowly escaped the danger. Now Amy not only acquired a weapon for self-defense but also found a large supply of drinkable water. After eating and drinking her fill, she took out the radio to contact the explorer. The urgent task was to find the submarine and send the two children away. Soon a man's voice came through the radio, but unexpectedly she was also attacked by the crab swarm. The man mentioned that there were only a few hours left through the magnetic pole reversal. They must act quickly, but Amy lost the mat and is now lost. Upon hearing that, the mag kindly fires left the captain, and the few immediately set after the direction of the flare. During their journey, they passed through a canyon crevice and unfortunately encountered a rock slide. To save the two children, Amy pushed them away just before the boulders fell. Although they were unharmed, it separated her from the children. Amy had been worried about how to convince the children to leave her behind since the submarine only had 2 seats, but now she doesn't have to worry about that. Amy yelled, urging the kids to move quickly as the seawater would soon flood in. There was no time for emotional goodbyes. Though the sister hesitated, she took her brother and moved on. Soon they climbed the hill and finally saw the submarine in the distance. The siblings gathered all their strength and ran toward it. Initially, the sister hoped the explorer could help them, but as they got closer, she hoped he was badly injured and struggling to breathe. Kindly register solo on my behalf. Upon hearing this, the sister immediately made up her mind to return the way she came to rescue her mother. She already knew that the submarine only had 2 seats, but now that the explorer, whose time was running out, had willingly given up his seat, she was determined to take her mother with her. At that moment, Amy was leaning against a cliff, fending off the army of crabs. Despite her efficiency with a shotgun, she would eventually be overwhelmed. Just as Amy was about to clasp her eyes and accept her fate, her daughter suddenly appeared, reaching out from a boulder. With their combined efforts, Amy managed to climb out of the crevice safely. Then, the girl led her all the way to the submarine, quickly opened the hatch, and entered. At this moment, the crab army was swarming, but fortunately, the submarine was sturdy enough not to be easily breached. However, the three hadn't even caught their breath when they saw the seawater rushing towards them like a fierce beast. All the family could do was buckle up in their seats, anxiously awaiting the unknown fate that was about to arrive. The moment they made contact with the seawater, the submarine was tossed up and down, and the 3 of them quickly passed out. When Amy opened her eyes again, the submarine had stabilized. She hurriedly climbed out to assess the situation and found that they had been swept into the city by the water. However, the city was now a wasteland, with no sign of life for miles around. Nevertheless, Amy had successfully led the children out of danger, although it was uncertain whether the Earth would experience a magnetic pole reversal. As long as she's alive, Amy will fight him to the end.